Governor Patrick, thank you for the very inspiring remarks about civic engagement.
Thank you.
One thing you didn't mention that I think Massachusetts is known for at this point is healthcare reform.
Yes.
And I know it wasn't your watch that it was passed on, but I know you've got to implement it. So I'd like to know how it's going in implementation, what you might have learned from it, and do you think it's a model for the United States?
Well, those are all great questions. I thought it was one to a customer, though. Healthcare reform, does it break protocol if I ask first names?
Not at all.
Is that right? What's your first name?
Jerry.
Jerry's question is about healthcare reform in Massachusetts, which was passed by my Republican predecessor in the Democratic legislature just before he left office. I mean, interestingly, he passed it and then vetoed the funding for it, but never mind. The legislature restored the funding, and it has been it's been a terrific success in many ways. There are 340,000, 350,000 adults and children who were uninsured before I took office who are insured today. The implementation began on my watch, so I do take some credit for that, and proudly, by the way. Generally, costs are coming down. System costs are coming down, not dramatically yet, honestly, Jerry, but they're starting to come down in the sense that what we call the free care pool, which is the fund that paid for primary care that people were getting in emergency rooms, for example, has come down dramatically, and that has helped pay for some of healthcare reform. Our strategy or philosophy has been very much one of shared responsibility, which is an approach that Barack Obama has taken as well, which is to say everybody has to contribute. Individuals have to contribute, employers have to contribute, providers, hospitals have to contribute, the state is contributing, and frankly the federal government has contributed because of the waiver that was negotiated before I came to office, and we're in the midst of renegotiating it right now. Is it a model for the country? I'm not sure. It might be. We had some advantages, frankly. We had a relatively small population of uninsured. There were about, the estimates were between 300,000 and 600,000 uninsured in a population of about 7 million. That's pretty good as a starting point. Do you know what I mean? California has a couple million. I'm not sure what it is here in Ohio. I think we have a lot more work to do to get system costs down, not just for the subsidized programs, of which there are a range, but for everybody. Businesses are squeezed, and the state is squeezed. You know, healthcare represents over 40% of the state budget right now. And if it keeps growing at the rate it has been growing, that's unsustainable over time. But I think there are some lessons there, and one of the reasons why we are cautiously optimistic about successfully renegotiating the Medicaid waiver is that the Bush administration points to this experiment as in very positive terms, in large measure because we kept the private insurers as a part of it. So we have not, we didn't go to single payer, for example. I can say more about it, but maybe I'll save time for others.
Governor Patrick, my name is Rick.
Hi, Rick.
Didn't want to have to make you ask. First, a personal note. My daughter married her wife in Massachusetts. She's a beneficiary of the change in the law.
She's one of mine. Good.
And I thank you for the efforts of you and others to thwart the effort to change that law. I think it has worked well. You spoke eloquently about fear, and if I heard you correctly, the antidote you drew to our attention is active citizenship, which I think is a good phrase. But I ask you to elaborate on how else do you help people either understand a real fear or calm a false fear.
Yes.
In the face of fear, especially of others, of those who are different from them.
Well, first of all, I don't think it is simple or quick. I think there is a perseverance required, at least what I think active citizenship requires. But I'm going to try to describe it and then tell you why I'm hopeful, maybe I'll start with why I'm hopeful. My own campaign, this is my first elected office. My campaign was very much a grassroots campaign. I share a political philosophy with Senator Obama, which is about recognizing that an awful lot of people, good people, doing their thing, making their way, have checked out of civic and political life because they don't think it has anything to do with them. They think of government as this abstraction out there that people who work in it it doesn't deserve to be staffed by people competent, let alone committed, and that it's just bad. It's not us. And I think that we use the campaign in Massachusetts, and I think Senator Obama has used the national campaign to say, no, wait a minute, government is us. It's us. Now, I say it more bluntly than he does. I think we get the government we deserve. And I think if we want something else, then we have to commit to it. We got to work for it. We got to go out and make a claim on it. And then we have to be candid about the fact that once we get it, we haven't finished our work by just voting into office the leader we thought we wanted. Most issues, many issues, in my view, government cannot solve or solve on its own. There is a huge opportunity, however, in leadership. Just how you use the bully pulpit, what you ask of people. I would say in the case of President Kennedy, people point to the Peace Corps as a government program that exemplified his call to service, but I think that there was a whole generation who felt compelled to serve because of the call, whether it was in the Peace Corps or something else, just to be engaged. And I think that in that engagement, and we certainly found it in the case of my campaign in Massachusetts, and I think we're seeing it nationally, people are suddenly in the company of people they never have anything to do with because they have found common cause that's bigger than them, which is the point I think about how you show people the inherent good, not just the sort of programmatic outcome, and not even just the practical benefits, as important as they are, but the inherent good that comes in community building. Is that responsive, Rick?
Governor,
Hi.
my name is Joe.
Hi, Joe.
My question is, recently this past week, this area has been inundated with a high level of foreclosure as far as houses is concerned. This past week, President Bush signed the housing bill.
Yes.
My question to you is, care to make some comments in regards to the housing bills and how does that affect far as state policies far as with the housing bill?
Yeah, I like the housing bill. I thank our own Massachusetts Congressman Barney Frank for pushing it, and I thank the President for signing it. He didn't want to, at least not the part that has to do with the foreclosure response. And in our case, in Massachusetts, we get about $75 million, which we will combine with about $20 million we've raised already, to offer refinancing opportunities and to acquire foreclosed upon properties so that we keep neighborhoods stable. Basically, there are at least two issues that this crisis has created in Massachusetts, and maybe you're seeing this here in Ohio. One is the destabilization of families, homeowners and so on. And the other is the destabilization of neighborhoods because the properties are vacant or boarded up or what have you. Neither of them is good. In the case of individual families, I struggle with this a bit because I think that because of the nature of financing, of home financing, it's hard to think of one solution that fits everybody. What we've been trying to do in Massachusetts is create these what we call foreclosure fairs, really, where we get people together with their lenders and get them to sit down and work through a restructuring.